All right, welcome back to Inside the 90. How are you, Andrew?
Doing good, brother. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm excited to jump into this topic. This is we're going to talk about scorecards today, and part of EOS is that rhythm and accountability. And as a odd duck, my brain's a spreadsheet. I love data, even though I have an art degree. Scorecards are something I've always had a passion for helping figure out, like, what is the metric versus the KPI. The metric is the step in the process. The KPI is the end result. What's the right thing to be tracking when for what?
Yes.
And I think this is one of the coolest parts of EOS is when you get your scorecards dialed in.
Absolutely.
But I assume many people struggle getting started with that. So when you are working with a client and they're just getting ready to dig into their scorecards, where do you start?
Yeah, it's a good question. And just to anchor this into EOS, right, there's 5 foundational tools, the 5th one being scorecard. So all of the tools of EOS, there's 5 that get us 80% of the way there, and scorecards is one. And in my experience, scorecard is the one that people struggle with the most. And you're saying, like, where do we start? I think oftentimes we overcomplicate this idea of a scorecard, right? It's like, how do we get this thing to be the most perfect set of 5 to 15 measurables that's going to give us the ultimate pulse and, like, make it perfect? And that pursuit of perfection gets in our way a little bit. So I like to start building out a scorecard. If you think about an organizational flow, right? So we have organizational flow, which is also the major functions. We have a marketing function that goes out and creates demand. Sales turn that demand into a customer. Operations deliver that service, ensuring that customers are happy. Finance watching money going out.
Yeah.
So if you just think about the flow, there's probably key measurables in each one of those stages that can start to build it out. So what I'll tell the team to do is, after we have our accountability chart set and we have each major functions, let's just choose 2 to 3 key measurables in each one of those functions. And that can be our kickoff to our scorecard.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you live in that. And it's very common sometimes that the hurdle becomes, well, we don't have a way to get the data.
Right.
So what do you do when, like, this is what we need, but we don't have a way to get the data?
Fight for it.
Yeah. it's an issue now, right?
It's an issue.
It's an issue on the list.
Yeah. So that's a good call. You don't need to get too far ahead, right? Yeah. So think about that. So after, a lot of times in focus day, we'll get a pass of a scorecard in place. So you'll have, I got a couple sales measurables, a couple operations measurables. I got a AR/AP measurable type of a thing. And then we're going to go, okay, let's start running L10s. Well, don't get too far ahead of yourself. As you start to go fill out that scorecard, if there's a measurable that we're questioning if it's accurate, if we can't go get the data, if we're questioning if it's even the right measurable, it just becomes an issue.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we prioritize it appropriately and we just work through it appropriately.
Yeah. Yeah. You said something there about perfectible or perfect, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's that we don't need to start for perfect. We need a scorecard that is perfectible, but perfectible is over time, right?
Absolutely.
It goes through iterations. And then the trap that I have seen and experienced myself too is the desire of, before we even have the right metrics in place, we're focused on automation.
Yeah.
And it's like, let's automate this. It's like the cool, it's look how slick it can be. And I just say this in general, don't automate anything you're not doing manual already, right? So if it has to be 3 spreadsheets and you're going in and grabbing all the data and manually compiling to a 4th spreadsheet, that's okay to get started.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So once you've got, you got your scorecard metrics and you're getting moving, how do you use the scorecard? How do you let it inform your decision making?
That's a great call out. There's a few things. So when I think about that organizational flow, we talk about leading measurables, lagging measurables. KPIs is kind of how you turn the lagging metrics as a step in that process, right? But a lot of times, if you look at that function, marketing lagging measurables can be a sales leading measurable.
Correct.
Sales lagging can be an operations leading.
Yes.
Right? So you can kind of do it that way. So I set that context on, like, how do we use those things? We should, our scorecard, when we're in our weekly level 10, there's two pieces to this. One is that leader should be preparing the answers to the scorecard before they walk into the meeting. So if I am a sales leader, I should be reporting how many prospect meetings did we have, right? I should be reporting how many proposals did we have out, and then how many wins did we have, right? Yeah. And I'm putting those things in, dissecting. If I need to analyze something, I'm doing it then to be able to bring the proper issue if it's off track. So I think that's the first thing. And the second thing is we need to, in the L10, when we're going through our scorecard, the way to effectively use it is allowing that to be a trigger for us. So if there's 2 or 3 weeks that one measurable's red, let's not get blinded by red, and we need to call that out, and we need to fight for it. It needs to end up being an issue and talking about it. Is the measurable right? Yes or no? Why is it off track? How do we fight to get it back on track?
Yeah, and that's as you're going through your scorecards, knowing to drop it down, right? It's easy to get wrapped up in explaining it then, but it's like, no, if it's off, drop it down. And then prioritizing that. The scorecard is the dashboard to the health of the business.
Yes.
And to skip over, like you said, this one's been red for 3 or 4 weeks. It's really easy to kind of let that drop down and then go on more urgent things from an IDS perspective.
Yes.
Right? Because we know that one's off track.
Yeah.
Let's not talk about it.
Off track for 6 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
Well, we probably need to get that back on track. Right?
Yeah.
But I think when that occurs, what happens is that one is we're probably not accountable enough yet as a team to each other to be comfortable and have high trust and being able to just throw the issue out on the table of like, we need to get this thing back on track. That's one. The other thing is that scorecard may be bloated.
Yeah.
It may be full of measurables that really only a handful matter. The others don't really mean a whole lot, but it'd be nice to see it, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's one piece. If you're feeling that way, is look at the scorecard and how do you actually bring it down to what's really important?
Yeah.
That needs to take more action on.
Yeah, and I think the evolution that I've experienced too is all right, we're focusing on our scorecard metrics. We've got it at the leadership level. We've got our other L10s. But then you go all the way down to everybody has a number.
Yes.
Right? So what does it look like to connect an individual's number to a scorecard?
Yeah. So we get to the point where everybody has a number, and everybody has a number that they're reporting onto a team scorecard somewhere.
Yep.
And it's first, when we first build a scorecard, we're only going to build the leadership team first. So it's going to feel a little bit big. But as we build out the disciplines level by level, it actually will clean up every other scorecard above it.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm just going to take sales, right? I may have the complete sales process being tracked at the leadership team level in the beginning. Well, as I get a sales L10 going, okay, I'm going to move that whole track down to that team, but then that gets cleaned up.
Yep.
And now each team member is reporting their measurables on it. So we have a one that is more congruent, everything together, and then one that is individualized as it goes down. And then say there's an SDR, like it breaks down even further there in their numbers. And so that's how you kind of get to everybody has a number.
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes I think you may have noticed this too, but when there's a recurring issue, it's like, why is there an issue? Like, for instance, us earlier in the year, we were short-staffed on account service.
Yeah.
And so we were delivering work is never the problem. We show up to deliver the work, but we ended up putting a metric in for account service that was how many times this week did the client ask for an update? Because we're like, we have to be proactive. And you start tracking that for a period of time. And because everyone was paying attention to it that week, we all know like, all right, we're in a spot right now where this is a dent, right? We don't want clients to experience bad service, even though we're understaffed at the moment.
Yeah.
And just by having that one metric and everybody reporting on it, and we had 3 people who had to go and add to it because we all have different client meetings and clients ping us all separately. But you see that go 2, 3, and 4. And then now I think for us, like the past 4 or 5 weeks, it's at 0. And it's like, all right, cool. That was the scorecard actually became the visibility that made us all conscious of what an issue was and how we actually solved it. So actually the solve to the issue was tracking it.
I love it. And that happens all the time. And that's where a lot of teams say, well, my scorecard is in Power BI. That's not a scorecard.
Yeah.
How easy is it to add a measurable to that? Not that easy,
Yeah.
right? So make the scorecard very flexible, because it's exactly right. Sometimes you're on a meaty issue on the IDS, and the answer to that is just start tracking it and putting it on the scorecard. It's the same thing. Every 90 days, we should be assessing our scorecard, right? You're familiar with OKRs, right? Measure what matters.
Objectives and key results.
Yep. Objectives, key results. And if you tie that methodology, EOS provides that same framework. A rock is the objective. Key results are the scorecards of like making sure that we hit them. So sometimes we'll create a rock. In that same example, I would see, hey, we probably had a rock to better the account service, like response time, something, whatever that looks like. We probably had a rock on that. And so another solve could be, let's start tracking the scorecard measurable to make sure that's occurring.
Yes.
As well.
Yeah.
So it kind of comes at it from multiple angles. But in my mind, the scorecard, you got to look at it from a compartmentalization component. The scorecard tells us the things that have to happen every week and the things that need to stay on track. Rocks are our big meaty priorities that we're getting done by the end of the quarter, right? Our to-dos are the action items we're taking in every week.
Yeah.
The to-do that we're taking in every week. So if you look at it from a compartment of like, where does this thing belong? That's how scorecards really start to develop.
Yeah. Yeah. And then something I would just say from a bias perspective, like it can be hard to find the right metric for certain roles. Yeah. And, as a visionary, I have spent my career in professional services firms and I hate timesheets. And I was like, we are not using time as a metric.
I know,
We're going to find the other way. And we tried every other way. And then finally, and I was the one, it was going against my nature, but the team wants accountability. They want to know what they're accountable for. And so we actually rolled it out. And for us, we have just hours worked, right? And then we have billable hours because we got, but you don't want to get trapped in is this hour billable or not? It's like, if we're producing work for clients, that's for billable bucket and total hours worked. But I've found that the team actually enjoys the accountability of it. So as much as I resisted it, it was my bias of I hated that when I was somewhere that didn't have accountability and timesheets was the only thing and they were used as a weapon. But in the constructs of EOS, the time has become something that they're actually like, no, this makes sense. It's totally logical.
Absolutely. I was talking to a leader this morning. We were talking about this idea of alignment and that they feel this weight and responsibility to be the person that provides alignment for everybody. Yet the way that he was going about it was like hearing everybody's voices and trying to find the perfect solution or perfect answer, or took all that weight to then I took everybody's thoughts and feelings into account and I'm supporting everybody rather than and it just causes this muddiness. And it's it just compared to, all right, let's provide alignment by getting really clear on what's important. Yeah. You can put in a scorecard, right? I got a client that's a moving company and they do, and they load a truck. So they have 3 measurables on a scorecard for that team. It's load a truck in 45 minutes. Yes or no? 0 incidences. So did something get broken or somebody get injured? So 0 incidences and positive Google review.
Oh, cool.
That's it.
Yep.
So if that team hits those 3 measurables that day, they freaking won.
Yeah.
It's a great day. Everybody's slapping hands. Everybody gets, right, everything.
Yeah.
So and that actually is what provides the clarity and alignment.
Yeah. And especially that seems kind of cool in an industry where they're out in the field.
Yes.
And it's like, well, when you're out in the field, you kind of feel like you're disconnected. But it's like, no, we've got these 3 things we've got to do.
Which those all align with the larger priorities.
Yeah. Yeah.
Serving customers that are happy, the Google reviews, right? 45 minutes, that's probably an efficiency number.
Yeah.
Right? 0 incidences is causing, employees getting injured or paid damages or whatever it is. So it's that simplicity. It's really fighting for the simplicity in that.
And on that, just thinking about you've worked across so many different types of businesses. I mean, what are some cool metrics that you found that people, when pressed to figure out? I mean, usually it's leads and revenue.
Those are easy ones.
But when you start being like, well, let's get into the process and figure out like what actually, how are we accountable for delivering on the promises that we're making overall?
Yeah.
Like what are some cool ones that you've seen?
Yeah. So first of all, the way to find the cool ones is you use a tool called Getting What You Want, where you start with the end result that you want.
Yep.
And then you just back out steps that are aligned to get to that point.
Yep.
And then there's probably measurables embedded in there. Okay. So a specific one, they had an accounting team that they were struggling with their accounts receivable and getting them in time and these different things. And so they created a little checklist that needed to be done. And so a measurable was, was that checklist followed every single week? Yes or no? So cool measurables can be, was this done? Yes or no?
Yeah. Yes.
But they're really powerful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Those ones, anything that has like a direct activity to it, like loading the truck in 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Like we have complete control of that. It's an immediate result. Like those are really, really cool.
Yeah.
As well. Like on the marketing side, I think we get too caught up on like impressions and this and that. Like that's analysis.
Yeah.
That belongs in the marketing stuff. But what matters there are events attended, right? It's how many leads did we generate? It could be like if we have a rock to do something neat on this cool trade show booth, like how many times did we promote the upcoming campaign?
Yeah.
Right? Like just think outside the box of what's really going to move the needle.
Yeah.
For us.
Yeah.
And that.
I don't know if it was on one of our previous episodes or it was a conversation with you and I, like even like the phone ringing, right? It's like a metric.
Yes.
is
that's in the book.
Was it in the book?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a book tracker where they talk about, well, okay, you have an assistant or receptionist at the front desk.
Yeah.
Like, what's a measurable for them? Well, a measurable is 2. The phone had to be answered within 2 rings every single time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
And I think that's, some of those things can, if you're listening and you haven't really got your scorecards dialed in, can be like, well, this is bureaucratic and it's micromanagement, but it's actually not. It's just this seat has a function and that function has an outcome.
Yeah.
And so let's just make sure that seat understands how to measure what's going to get them to the outcome.
Yeah. And what's the alternative?
Yeah.
How's it going? How's it going right now if you don't do something? Like, right? Like that's my question. It's like, okay, well, what's your solution?
Yeah.
Right? Like, how do we get more alignment? How do we win more often? How do we make it a better culture for a team member to know if they won or not? Right? Like, what are the other options? Like, it truly is like, okay, like that I think is a little bit like, I just want to shake people at times.
Yeah.
Like, come on,
Yeah.
let's do this thing. And team members love it.
Yeah.
I mean, they think about that team that they have those 3 measurables, loading a truck. They know what to do. They're fighting for those all the time. It makes it so much more engaging and enjoyable when you win.
Yeah.
Rather than loading trucks all day long and I don't know, 45 minutes, an hour, it's fine. There's going to be another truck that shows up next, And
then the joke right now is I can't have a conversation without saying the word vibe coding.
Yeah.
So it's only appropriate to say that that's sometimes you've got your core systems. Like we have project management software, we have finance software, right?
Yeah.
And we've got CRM. But we didn't have the ability to easily report on project backlogs.
Okay.
And so, I carry the stuff in my head and I'm like, if only we had a system that could do this. But I would say with scorecards now, building dashboards and pulling data in from different systems in a way that you could never do before. Like,
absolutely.
I don't know if listeners are familiar with lovable.dev, but like I was able to take a 60-day backlog that was stressing us all out in August and September because we were very busy and we had this backlog of work and I knew we were all getting the work done, but we couldn't get our head up far enough to go review all the future stuff and get all the scopes and everything defined. The gap was we do scopes of work that have line items, but then we open jobs. One line item could be 13 jobs internally. We have all the job data, but we couldn't tie it back. And so just being able to have software now where you can just go and explain what I'm trying to solve.
Yeah.
And within an hour, build a tool that now we've built it in about 4 hours total in production. But now over the past month, I've got all the data in it. And we've moved our entire revenue recognition as a professional services firm to a dashboard that's all in a system that has never existed before. It is freaking awesome.
Incredible. And you can use that simple tool to get to that access and find a way to get that number.
Yeah. And it's moved what's happened is, you plug one hole and water comes out of another one.
Yeah.
And so we've been patching holes and literally pulled up our core processes. And, the last step in onboarding, was the scope planning. And then the first step in the resourcing is the project planning. And we didn't have a bridge.
Yeah.
And we've built that bridge now. And now we can actually see on any day, now we're trying to get it down to 0, but 0 unplanned scopes of work and 0 unplanned jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And, there was no way to do that without a scorecard.
Yeah. Yeah, it's incredible. And, I think of it where I see a lot of power even in my own life is like just the bridge between what you want and the accountability on the daily actions or the weekly actions.
Yeah.
Right? Like just this thought of like, I could carry a scorecard around in my back pocket and saying, okay, I'm going to set my priorities for the next 9 days, which are my rocks that say, I want to lose 10 pounds. So I'm going to weigh 200 pounds, right? That's a rock. I want to create this process and get it followed by all and get it rolled out. Okay. Well, then on my scorecard, like I need to track calories in, calories out. I need to track how many times I went to the gym. Did I go for a walk? How many times did I sit with Chelsea and we worked towards this process? Like, right? And if the likelihood of getting those things done with that scorecard just skyrocket and it keeps us focused on what really matters.
And I think kind of closing on this idea, I was thinking I should have opened on it, but I think it's a good close, is when we first started rolling out EOS and Charlie White was our implementer.
Yeah.
His story was the leadership scorecard is, all right, Jamie, or all right, Andrew, you're on a week's vacation. You're sitting on the beach in Turks and Caicos and you're at a crazy resort and you and Stacy have had an awesome time and it's your last day.
Yeah.
And the waiter comes up and says, Mr. and Mrs. Geisel, we just want to let you know you've been such an amazing guest. If you're willing, we'll extend you and give you another week here. and you're sitting there like, all right, well, I got to get back to work, right? Well, so what's the score? The 6 to 8 things that without talking to anyone, you'd be able to, have delivered to you on a napkin.
Yes.
Here's the 6 to 8 things. Here's the metrics. Yes. And with no context, you would know, can I stay another week or not? And I've always liked that story of how simple it should be. Like if you had 8 metrics written down on a napkin with no conversation, can you determine the health of that team? That could be the leadership team. That could be your department L10. But really it should be that simple of a scorecard.
Absolutely. And even I'm tie that to Gino's presentation at the EOS conference this past year. And he talked about that idea of obsession.
Yes.
And that scorecard, he knew everything he needed to know about the current state of the business by those 5 to 15 measurables.
Yeah.
And he was obsessed with those. And were they the right ones and were they on track and what that looks like?
Yeah.
And I think it goes to that it's the alignment of that analogy of the obsession of that scorecard is really going to tell us what it is. Because if all we have are opinions, let's just go with mine.
Yeah.
Right? But if we have the data, let's look at the data.
Yes.
It cuts through so much noise for us. And I think there's some things here that leaders need to hear is that, one, your A players want this.
Yes.
They want this culture. Okay. And if you have team members on your team that try to overcomplicate the scorecard, turn it more into analysis, struggle getting the information, they lessen it, I would be concerned of their commitment to the actual achieving the mission that we have ahead of us.
Yeah.
Right. Their desire that GWC, they may have a little bit of a click in the want. That.
Well, to wrap us up, what's one very important takeaway?
Yeah, I think the most important takeaway is don't overthink the scorecard in the beginning and use it as a tool, the way it's meant to be utilized, which the takeaway would be every week use the issues list to strengthen the scorecard. So if something we can't get access, drop it down to the issues list. If an issue comes up, maybe we just need to start tracking it.
Yep. Awesome. Well, hopefully this helps you get your scorecards on track.
Absolutely. Let's get those things green.